half-drawn distinct at the foot of the Academy of Raya Lucaria, the temple quarter is easily to ride through, grab the loot and never think about it again. But if you slow down and look around, Temple Quarter actually tells you a quiet story about the Academy, its worship, and the power of cold and glintstone sorcery. Temple Quarter sits in Liurnia of the Lakes, just southwest of the Magic Academy of Raya Lucaria. On the map, it's a cluster of shattered buildings and steeplers half submerged in the shallow waters of the lake. It is described as a ruined temple southwest of the Academy of Raya Lucaria. From that we can already pull out a few lore beats. Temple implies worship, not just study. Raya Lucaria is a school of sorcery, but Temple Quarter suggests there once was a religious or ritual distinct tied to the academy. The towers and archers we see poking out of the water feel more like shrines of chapels than standard houses. It's not half-sunken like much of Liurnia's basin. The flooded landscape implies some kind of magical catastrophe. If you ride in from the South Raya Lucaria gate and follow the water west, Temple Quarter is one of the first places you hit, and it has its own site of grace. From there, if you ride due north, you reach Glintstone Dragon Smarag, sleeping on a small rocky island and guarding the Academy Glintstone Key. So, Temple Quarter is literally between the outer world of Liurnia and the inner world of the Academy. The flooded shrine district becomes a kind of a liminal space. Once a holy quarter attached to the academy, now a scrapyard of temples where only minor sorcerers and twisted constructs remain. Presence of glintstone everywhere is important. The academy draws power from glintstone, crystallized primeval sorcery, and Liurnia society was built around that. The fact that even a religious quarter is riddled with sorcerers and magical constructs suggests that faith and sorcery were tightly fused here. These weren't purely churches in the Limgrave sense. They were likely places where glintstone rites, scholarly worship of the stars, and rituals of the full moon overlapped. Thus, Temple Quarter stands as a mirror of the Academy's glintstone faith, of Liurnia's grandeur, and of its downfall. The fact it's half underwater suggests the era when sorcery was accident is now collapsed. What remains are echoes. When you first ride into the Temple Quarter, you are not greeted by priests or scholars, but by scavengers and remnants. The main enemy types you will find here are glintstone sorcerers and marionette soldiers. The sorcerers wear the academy robes and wield glintstone staff spells. They are likely failed or exiled students who now haunt the outskirts, unable or unwilling to live inside the academy's strict hierarchy. The marionette soldiers are the jerky, puppet-like constructs dangling on strings of glintstone. They are artificial troops animated by magic, used by the Academy to defend key zones around the lake. Their presence here reinforces the idea that Temple Quarter once mattered strategically. Even after its fall, the Academy still seeds the ruins with puppets and sorcerers. Miranda flowers and other hostile plant life are in the surrounding ruins. The poisonous blossoms often grow near places steeped in magic or rot. In Temple Quarter, they hint that the waterlogged soil has been heavily altered by glintstone runaway and decayed bodies. What used to be a holy distinct has literally become the fertile ground for toxic magical vegetation. Albinaurics are artificial life forms, partially man-made, like failed experiments in creating a new race. Finding them around Temple Quarter fits Liurnia theme. This is a region that manufactures life and faith alike through sorcery. Temple Quarter's ruins with their half-collapsed ankles of stone and waterlogged country yards are natural hideouts for those outcasts. So, narratively, the enemy tells us that Temple Quarter is still under the ghostly influence of the Academy, by marionettes and sorcerers, corrupted by magical and toxic growth, home to artificial, rejected beings. The priests and worshippers are all gone, only byproducts of the Academy's experiments remain. Temple Quarter has a few minor items, but one treasure stands out as a signature reward for the area, and that ties directly to the Glintstone Dragon Smarag and the Academy Glintstone Key. The Academy Glintstone Key is a key item required to open the sealed gates of the Academy of Raya Lucaria. The key is described as key to the seals binding both gates to the Academy of Raya Lucaria, activates warp magic bound within the seals. A Glintstone key will remember its user, meaning once used it cannot be passed to any another one. The Academy doesn't welcome the indolent. first Academy Glintstone Key is found on a Glintstone sorcerer's corpse north of the Temple Quarter site of grace behind the Glintstone Dragon Smarag. In other words, Temple Quarter is not just near the key, it's a staging ground. The key lies beyond the dragon, which guards a small island north of the quarter. Mechanically, the key is essential. Without it, you cannot pass into the Academy of Raya Lucaria. You are locked out of the Legacy Dungeon where major story progression happens. The Academy is the Legacy Dungeon for Liurnia and holds bosses, major NPCs, spells, etc. So the Academy Glintstone Key is one of your first big gateway items. Narratively, it also symbolizes entry into the world of formal Glintstone study, the threshold between the open world and the sealed sanctum of the Academy. The Glintstone Dragon Smarag stands just north of the Temple Quarter, on a rocky island facing the Academy. It is a devourer of the sorcerers whose body gradually became corrupted by their glintstones. Smarag drops a dragon heart and unlocks the incantation Smarag's Glintstone Breath. But more importantly for our story, Smarag also stands sentinel over the Glintstone Key, so his presence ties directly into the lore and function of the Temple Quarter. If you defeat Smarag, you get a dragon heart, which can be exchanged for powerful dragon-based incantations. But you don't have to fight him. You can sneak past and get the key without confrontation. That gives us a choice: challenge early or stealth through and return later. Smarag is a grim symbol of the Academy's hybrids, a dragon that once devoured sorcerers and in doing became infused, corrupted by their glintstones. It implies that the Academy experimented on sorcerers, harvested glintstone, and tested dragons. And this creature is a grotesque outcome. The fact that Smarag guards the key to the Academy means the Academy itself is founded on such dangerous power. While the key and the dragon dominate the scene, there is also the ice-ringed hatchet to the southeast of the site of grace in Temple Quarter. This is an early frost weapon with the Hoarfrost Stomp skill. It is not strictly in the narrative loop of the Academy and the dragon, but helps summon Temple Quarter as a transitional loot site. You get a powerful weapon and the key to the Academy. Combined, that makes this ruin both optional and highly rewarding. Put all of this together and Temple Quarter becomes more than the place with the frost tags. It's a hinge zone. First, it's one of the clearest signs that Liurnia is a drowned civilization. Entire temple complexes now sit waist deep in water, their gods and scholars long gone. The Academy and its obsession with the stars, glintstone and the full moon may have brought Liurnia greatness, but the flooded ruins show the coast. The fact that the Academy Glintstone Key lies beyond the dragon and sorcery-infused creatures roam the ruins tells us that the pursuit of glintstone power was not benign. Second, its position on the map makes it a threshold. To one side the open lake, merchants wandering tarnished, on the other Raya Lucaria with its strict study, its prejudice against those with the gift of glintstone, and its cruelty towards Albinaurics and other artificial creatures. Temple Quarter lies in between, occupied by rejected students, construct soldiers, and discarded creations like Albinaurics. It's like a dumping ground where the Academy's mistake wash up. Third, the presence of Smarag and his lore underscore the essential theme. Dragons and glintstone sorcery are intertwined. Smarag devoured sorcerers. His scales are magma crystal. He now guards a key to the Academy. What that tells us? The transformation of Smarag from Predator to Guardian suggests that the Academy's power reaches even the ancient Draconic Order. The key's placement behind Smarag gives weight. To access the Academy, you must face, or at least bypass, the consequence of glintstone ambition. Finally, on a meta level, Temple Quarter is an early demonstration of how Elden Ring hides build definition tools in seemingly minor locations. If you just ride past, Temple Quarter is a forgettable ruin. If you explore, you walk away with Academy Glintstone Key and optional Dragon Heart, weapons and access. This rewards curiosity and expands narrative context. Not every loot chest is random. Some serve the story's thresholds. Thanks for watching, hit that like button, subscribe for more Elden Ring lore, and stay sharp out there, Tarnished.